first 600 and the second 600. What we have been able to do is to focus on the first 600 megawatt development. We have therefore been graciously granted land by the executive mayor, the district, 1,200 hectares of land. I'm not sure how to size it in terms of soil, but I can see it takes a large part of the city. It's very large. 1,200 hectares is very large, where the plant is going to be. This is just a picture of a typical installation. My slides are frozen. Anyway, let me talk off the top of my head. I'll talk to the picture, it's fine. The important thing here is we have developed, oh, there we go at last. We have developed the project in this specific area here, which is in a circle, that black circle there. Why this particular spot? That is a map of the radiation index of South Africa. If you can look at the location of that spot, it is very, very red, which means it's very, very hot out there. And it is so for most part of the year, except for about 2 months or so in a year. The temperatures are pretty high, the radiation index is pretty high, and we found it to be the best location from the radiation index point of view, from the land availability point of view, from the willingness and partnership that we have with the district of Xhariep and their hunger for development. So the overall, the objectives of this project are quite many. Not only is it an economic development project per se, but it talks to a number of policy imperatives that government has put forward for rural development. First being that we must decentralize development, not concentrate it in Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Durban. But we must do so with what is inherently an asset of that specific area. We cannot try to bring dairy farming into this area. It will not work. But what does the area have? Potentially, it has this radiation that is God-given. So let's maximize out of it. But the important thing is when we develop this solar plant, 600 megawatts is a huge plant. It definitely says we can't be importing every little piece of equipment. It means investors have an opportunity for manufacturing of the components that will be used in the plant for the first 600, for the second 600, and maybe more, because the IRP 2019 that Cabinet has just approved now talks to the whole country. But you then have a springboard to go into the entire Southern African region based in Xhariep. We move from there to what is currently in vogue to say that the former premier of the province was very keen on rural development, as much as South Korea has been. And in his view, to change the life of people, there are two things that are very important. The first is education, which is what President Nelson Mandela said. The first is education, education, education. The next level is development, but development that is participatory, development that the people can be able to be proud of and to take part in. And that is the model that South Korea has followed. You call it Tsamalundong, we call it Letsema in our area in Sesotho. And it has always been tradition, but it got lost in our difficult history, and we are trying to rebuild it. So for us, we think the Samalundong movement is going to be the concept, the movement is welcome because it resuscitates what was naturally our way of life. I was very shocked when I was at the museum in Dengu, Kumi, to see that in the same period of time, we built exactly the same way. And we moved from that period to another in exactly the same way. But you sort of accelerated whilst we're having our own problems in South Africa to where you are, and we want to catch up because we've always been at par with each other. So definitely we are hoping that you will be able to do that. A few things that we think are important to investors. One, we all want to look at the security of energy supply in any country. And I think South Korea has achieved quite a lot in terms of your energy security. We are going to have a problem, or we already have a problem in South Africa with energy security. And that is something that we are saying, if we are going to move forward, moving from the fossil fuels to renewables is the way to go. Secondly, the world demands green production, and solar is one of those identified for green production and reduction of carbon emissions and so on. What we have taken out of the conference here in terms of the global green growth talks to exactly these objectives that we have for this project. We want to increase the province's share of renewables because we know the carbon tax is coming. We also want to promote investment and stimulate economic growth and job creation, but we call it green jobs. If we can grow in green jobs, then all the better for the next generation. And we want to then foster research and development in renewable energy technology, particularly in solar, in our space. We do have 2 universities that we would like to see cooperating with universities here who are already doing a lot of work in research and development in solar technology. So, ladies and gentlemen, one of the key things that I just want to leave with you is the energy yields in this particular area. I'm not sure whether we have engineers here, energy engineers who will interpret the figures. When you have 24,000 kilowatts of radiation per square meter of land, you are doing very well. The plant cannot go wrong. You will always maintain at least above 90% yield throughout the year. We have modeled the project, and that is what it indicates to us. So which means your investment is not going to be fluctuating. Your production is going to be fairly persistent, and the tariff that we are talking about now with the IRP 2019 is quite a reasonable tariff for any investor to have a good return on investment. Thank you very much.